So the second video, I'm too zoomed in. The second video for today is equations with parentheses, which we did at the end of last week, but these equations now have decimals and fractions. So just like the equations with variables on both sides, we're just adding on to really just get more at practice with the skills. So this is the first example we're going to do. We're going to do 4 for this also, 2 with decimals and 2 with fractions. Now the first step is really just get rid of the parentheses. So that's my first step, get rid of parentheses. And remember, parentheses means multiply or distribute. So you do need to follow, of course, PEMDAS, order of operations, PEMDAS. Parentheses, can you combine 10 minus 5c? No. Exponents, everything has an exponent of 1, so we don't have to do anything. M, multiply, so that's where we're multiplying. So we're distributing. This is 0.2 throughout. You're going to rainbow it throughout. So 0.2 times 10. So 0.2 times 10. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit now. So cross out the 0 and bring down the 0. So 2 times 1 is 2. 0 times 1 is 0. One number behind the decimal in the problem. One number behind the decimal in the answer. So the answer is just 2.0, which is the same as 2. So we have 2. 0.2 times 10 is 2. And you can always check it in a calculator. I'll do that right now. So 0.2 times 10 is 2. Okay, minus, because there's a minus, 0.2 times 5. Now that's actually a 0.2. I shouldn't have written that minus. That's actually a positive 0.2 times a negative 5. I know a positive times a negative is a negative. So now I'm just going to focus on that 0.2 times 5. Well, I know 2 times 5 is 10, so put down the 0, carry the 1. 0 times 5 is 0, plus 1 is 1. One number behind the decimal in the problem, one number behind the decimal in the answer. So 0.2 times 5 is 1. 1, don't forget the C. So 0.2 times 10 is 2. 0.2 times a negative 5c is a negative 1c, which you didn't even have to write the 1 technically, since it's in front of the variable, and then just bring down the other side. Okay, and now it's just equations with variables on both sides, where you draw the line and box up our variable. And this is when you have to combine like terms. So get the constants on one side, the 2 and the negative 16, and get the variables, negative c and 5c on the other side. Doesn't matter which one you start with. So let's add the constants. Add 16, add 16. You also could have subtracted 2 from both sides. Negative 16 plus 16 is 0. Just leaves us with that 5c. 2 plus 16 is 18. Minus 1c, I'm not even going to write that 1 anymore, so minus c. So we have 18 minus c equals 5c. Okay, but now we have to combine our variables. We have a negative c and a 5c. Remember, we want to get the variables on the other side of the line of the equal sign than the whole number. So we're going to move this negative c over there. So what's the opposite of negative c or minus c? Oh, positive c or plus c. So you have to add c to both sides. So we still have this 18. We bring it down. Negative c plus c cancels out. 5c plus 1 more c, 6c. So 18 equals 6c. So 6 times some number equals 18. They're being multiplied, so you have to undo that multiplication with division. Divide both sides by Well, what's going to get c by itself? Dividing by the coefficient, 6. 18 divided by 6 is 3. 6 divided by 6, well, any number divided by itself is 1. So we're left with 1c. We're lazy, we don't write the 1. So c equals 3. You can always check by plugging it back into the original equation and solving it. Okay, so the second one I want you to try and just use the video for support. So 0.5 times quantity 5 minus 7x equals 8 minus quantity 4x plus 6. Okay, so write it down and then pause the video and try it. So I know right off the bat I want to get rid of these parentheses because I can't combine what's in them. And there's no exponent, so next is multiply. So I need to multiply. I need to distribute. So this 0.5 is going to be distributed or multiplied by everything inside. And just so you know, 0.5 is the same as 1/2. Okay, because 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. So you can use a calculator, but what's 0.5 times 5? What's half of 5? 2.5. And now a positive 0.5 times a negative 7. Well, positive times a negative, they're different signs, so it's going to be negative. 0.5 times 7. Well, I know half of 7 is 3.5, but you always could check it. 0.5 times 7. 5 times 7, 35. Put down the 5, carry the 3. 0 times 7 is 0 plus 3. One number behind the decimal in the problem, one number behind the decimal in the answer, 3.5. So 0.5 times a negative 7x is negative 3.5x. Don't forget the variable. Okay, so we got rid of the parentheses on the left side of our equation. But we still have parentheses on the right side, and we don't want that. Okay, we got to get rid of them. So you just bring down the 8, but this negative, we're subtracting. This is 8 minus both 4x and 8 minus that 6. So this is kind of like an invisible one, like a negative 1. So we're going to distribute this negative sign, or that negative 1, throughout. So what's a negative, or negative 1 times 4x? Negative times a positive is negative. 1 times 4x, so that's negative 4x. Okay, what's a negative, or negative 1 times a positive 6? Negative 6. Awesome. Okay, so the first step is done. We got rid of the parentheses, we distributed. Okay, so now look on each side of the equation. So look on each side of the line, or the equal sign. Can you combine like terms? 2.5 minus 3.5x. No, we can't combine those. One has a variable, one doesn't. 8 minus 4x minus 6. Oh yeah, this 8 and this negative 6 or minus 6, we can combine those. Okay, so let's do that. So then it's going to be 2.5 minus 3.5x. You just rewrite it, equals 8 minus 6 is 2. So just 2 minus 4x. And guys, you got to remember, whatever sign is in front is what you do. So that's a negative 6, so 8 minus 6. Not a plus. And no, it does not matter if you wrote this 2 minus 4x, or if you wrote negative 4x first and then plus 2. Same thing. So now it's variables on both sides. Okay? Combine like terms. So we need to combine this 2.5 and the 2. You could subtract 2.5 or you could subtract 2. That 2 is a 2.0, so make sure you write it lined up there. 2.5 minus 2 is 0.5. Bring down the minus 3.5x. 2 minus 2 is 0. Negative 4x, not positive 4x, that's a minus 4x. So now we have to combine our variables. This negative 3.5x and the negative 4x. So you have to do the opposite. Add 3.5x to both sides. Well, I know negative 3.5x plus 3.5x cancels out. So that just leaves me with the 0.5 on the left side of the equal sign. Negative 4x plus 3.5x. Same signs add, different signs subtract. So what's 4 minus 3.5? That's 4.0. 0 minus 5 can't do, go next door. 10 minus 5 is 5, bring down the decimal. 3 minus 3 is 0. So 0.5x. Same signs add, different signs subtract. Which number is bigger, 4 or 3.5? 4 is, and the 4 is negative. So the answer is negative. So 0.5 equals negative 0.5x. Okay? They're touching, they're married, they're being multiplied, so we have to divide both sides. Negative 0.5, negative 0.5. 0.5 divided by negative 0.5, well, anything divided by itself is 1, and then a positive divided by a negative is negative. Negative 0.5 divided by itself is just 1x, so x. Okay, so that's how you solve it when both sides have the parentheses. So now let's do 2 with fractions. Excuse me. Okay. C. So 4n plus 2 equals 6 times 1/3 n minus 2/3. Awesome. I love it when only one side has parentheses, and most of them in this exercise will. I just wanted to show you one without. So 4n plus 2 stays the same. Can't combine what's in the parentheses, so then we have to distribute. Rainbow. Multiply this 6 throughout. Okay, so 6 times 1/3 n. Well, we know that 6 times 1/3, that 6 is over an invisible 1. So 6 times 1 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Okay, so 6 times 1/3 n. Guys, that's just the same as saying 6 divided by 3, which is 2. So 2n. Positive 6 times a negative 2/3. Positive times a negative is a negative, so it's going to be minus. 6 times 2/3. So we can do it by hand again. 6 times 2/3. That 6 is over an invisible 1. 6 times 2 is 12. 1 times 3 is 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Okay, so we got rid of the parentheses. Now it's just equations with variables on both sides. Draw the line, box up our variables for the visual, so now we can see our like terms. Okay? So the 2n and the 4n, and the 2 and the negative 4. Doesn't matter which one you start with. So just to switch things up, I'm going to start with the variables. Minus 2n, minus 2n. We move the whole 2n over there. So 4n's minus 2n's is 2n's. Bring down this plus 2. 2n's minus 2n's equals 0. Bring down the minus 4, the negative 4. So 2n plus 2 equals negative 4. Okay, so we got to get this variable by itself. So we need to move this plus 2 over there by doing the opposite, minus 2. Well, 2 minus 2 is 0, so that just leaves us with the 2n on this side. Negative 4 minus 2, same signs add. They're both negative, so you keep the sign. 4 plus 2 is 6. So 2n equals negative 6. All right, touching, they're married, they're being multiplied, so we have to divide both sides by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, just leaves us with n. Negative 6 divided by 2. Negative divided by a positive is a negative. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay, so this is, I'm trying to think if I want to do one more or just stop it here. I think I'm going to stop it here because the main thing you guys have to understand is when you have parentheses, you multiply, you distribute throughout. So the same one was exactly like this again. I'll do it in case you want it, actually, but if not, feel free to, if you're just getting the hang of it, go do the Khan Academy. But if not, because I know we're all at different levels, we'll do one more. But it's the same steps, okay? You're not going to be able to combine what's in the parentheses, and there's not exponents. So the same step, it's just get rid of this parentheses by distributing, by multiplying. So 3t minus 18 stays the same. 4 times a negative 3, negative 12. 4 times a negative 3/4, so 4 times a negative 3/4. That's an over and invisible 1. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. 1 times 4 is 4. Negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3. So 4 times a negative 3/4 t is a negative 3, so minus 3t. So once you're good and you properly distribute and get rid of the parentheses, then, I don't know why I keep burping, I'm sorry. Then it's, do you know how to combine like terms? Do you know how to get the variables on one side, get the whole numbers on the other? So we have our 3t and negative 3t. So I would combine them by adding 3t to both sides. 6t minus 18 equals negative 12. Negative 3t plus 3t goes away. Then you need to combine your constants, the numbers without the variables, so you do the opposite by adding 18. Because that negative 18 plus 18, it cancels out, so it just leaves us with a 6t on this side. Negative 12 plus 18. Same signs add, different signs. They're different signs, negative and positive, subtract. 18 minus 12 is 6. 18 is bigger than 12 and the 18 is positive, so the answer is positive. 6 times t, so we have to divide since it's being multiplied. 6 divided by 6 is 1, so we just have t. 6 divided by 6 is 1.